Welcome back. There are actors everywhere, but these actors are not part of the Screen Actors Guild. It's something we should have been talking about for a long time now. Let's get to it. Hey Kay, who's ready to volunteer to move some deck chairs? Because it's going to happen probably really soon. You know, one of the hallmarks of the FAA's reauthorization was the establishment of a 5-year term for the administrator. The rationale is that the operating agency needs and would benefit from the stability that would cross election cycles. Those that put that legislation together probably never imagined what is going on and unfolding here in 2023. Acting Administrator Nolan has announced that he will step down from the position when the administration announces a nominee for the administrator. His official position is that of the Associate Administrator for Safety. So in essence, when he steps down, there will be 2 solid vacancies, pretty important ones at the agency. So who would have dreamed that after 2 months from the official announcement of Mr. Phil Washington withdrawing from his nomination, and 3 months after a disastrous hearing for the position, that the administration has yet to put forth a nomination. Kind of crazy. And it seems like Acting Administrator Nolan, who's a pretty sharp guy, got the memo pretty early that he's not in the running. And he is not sitting around with twiddling his thumbs. He is rumored and somewhat validated that from the FAA that he's looking for a job, but he looks like he is moving to work for the new eVTOL manufacturer, Archer. And Archer is where another senior leader from the FAA, Dr. Mike Romanowski, went about probably over a year ago. Seems kind of odd that the inactive administrator is, publicly looking for work. Ethics rules are very strict. I'm sure that's being right, but that means he's recused and going to go to work for, or even exploring a job with an eVTOL manufacturer means that he's really excluded from all kinds of things, from rulemaking and certification issues and airport issues and operational issues. It's a huge void. Job is hard enough at being an actor, but being there just for show, it raises lots of questions. But why does this matter? Well, process-wise, the administrator is the only person to actually sign off on policy. So in regards to operating independently, like they have their own personnel system, their own acquisition system, that leaves sort of a gap. The other part of this leadership is to work on reauthorization. This is the part where the FAA not only needs its authority to do things and things like that, but it is their salary negotiations. This is what level do you set for how much money you're going to get for at least the next 5 years. This is an important interview process. So, an administrator that may go into their tenure or will be around usually sets policies that are going to be good for the long term. But an acting administrator that may be in place for only a matter of days, and then it has to be another actor, and then maybe we'll get a confirmation hearing sometime this year, next year. This is not the time to be negotiating compensation for that's absolutely needed for the FAA. It's going to be extremely difficult with this acting mantra that exists at the top levels of the FAA. Let's turn to safety. The chairperson for the NTSB is all over that we need to spend more money at the FAA for aviation safety technology solutions, particularly after a series of close calls at the beginning of this year. Those technologies support 43 airports in the US, and there are a whole bunch more airports out there that could use something to help controllers. The U.S. runway incursion rate steadily increased from late 22 into 23, peaking at 33 incidents per 1 million takeoffs and landings, and that rate dropped to April, right after the third big incident that we're all aware of. You have to wonder how it was nearly cut in half as the technology to detect those incidents sits at less than 10% of those controlled airports. So kind of interesting how instantly they're not happening. Not so sure about that. So Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, said the rate was coming closer to normal levels. Normal levels? What the heck is that? How about pushing to 0, Mr. Secretary? Increased vigilance from the leadership was all it took. Somebody said, hey, stop those things, and wow, we're back to normal. No, we're not. We should be fighting for 0. It's good that the NTSB is really pushing this. They can collaborate with the FAA administrator. Oh no, hey, that's an actor. They'll coordinate with the next well, at some point they're going to coordinate with somebody, maybe like the Associate Administrator for Safety. Oh, that's an actor too. Okay, well, anyway, it's good that the NTSB is pushing the FAA. Somebody's being pushed at the FAA that hopefully will be around to make it happen. Hey, want to hear something cool? The FAA has launched 170 new flight routes that are shorter and faster, and they're going to cut down on the congestion in the eastern U.S. I don't think that any of the airlines are going to get their slots back in New York, but hey, this is a great step. Part of the 7 years, took them 7 years to get these 170 routes coordinated between FAA facilities and the airlines, and they redrew a high altitude map for the aircraft that fly up and down the East Coast. So the FAA launched these new routes, got rid of the old ones because they're using satellite navigation, and it's going to be straighter and faster and better. And almost all the routes are above 18,000 feet, so this is an airline jet kind of thing in general, where aircraft are in cruise, and it is reducing the crowding on the most popular routes. So not sure how that works. If you're not on a popular route, you're on a longer route. It's kind of like a beltway. So some of the routes are over the Atlantic Ocean and over the Gulf of Mexico. Anyway, big map redraw. So the big news is that the FAA estimates that these new routes, 170 of them, 169, would reduce 6,000 minutes of travel time per year. So let's think about that. 6,000 minutes of travel time per year. 170 routes. Let's say 20 airplanes a route. 3 minutes? 2 minutes? If they're really congested and we're looking at hundreds or even thousands of airplanes, we're talking maybe a year, 7 years worth of effort, and we're gonna get seconds off an East Coast flight. Seconds. 7 years of effort, East Coast seconds. Maybe a better plan would have just maybe taken the amount of cost that took and just distribute it as a fuel reduction cost exercise, and we'd have lower fares anyway. Anyway, this all effort comes before the summer season, you know, which everybody expects to be busy. We're almost back to normal numbers. Pressure from the airlines is all about to address congestion and delays, but these new routes don't do anything about the staffing in New York, and don't do anything about the staffing in Jacksonville, and those are the places on the East Coast that we're hearing every time something major happens about disruptions. And saving seconds when you don't have staffing seems like a complete miss of priorities. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'll see you next time. We'll probably be talking about a new administrator. I promise I won't be so cranky about the FAA.